He didn't yet say Hashem's name. You just go back to once you said Hashem's name, you finish the bracha of Yalav of that. You finish Hamas Shnas L'Tzion. Then what do? You insert Yalav. You insert it between the word L'Tzion and the following word Moedim. So you're doing it at the end of the bracha. If you went past that, you already said the word Moedim. Then you go back to the beginning of the bracha and say. If you finish the Amida, you go back to the beginning of the Amida.
Okay. Which part can you just insert it?
If you finish the bracha, while you said Hashem's name when you're finishing the bracha, then you insert it before Maiden. Once you say the word Maiden, even though you didn't say Hashem's name, once you say the word Maiden, then you already began the next bracha. Then you go back to Ritzei. In the halachos of Svira Soimer, so we discussed the halachos of Svira Soimer. So a halacha that we did not mention is that before, if you do not count yet Svira Soimer, and it's already Shkia, the sunset, we already said you could count from sunset, from Shkia, but preferably you should wait until it's dark. So from the time of Shkia, which is already the time of Svira Soimer, we are not supposed to do any malacha, any work, until we count Omer. Dr. Rebbe says that's the custom, that we don't do any malacha. What does malacha mean? Malacha does not mean like when it comes to Shabbos, depending on lights. Malacha means like sewing, laundry, and then the men, let's say, if it's going to be for that men also for that, also for laundry. But I'm saying the men would also apply to construction, like doing work, things like that. They should not be doing any melacha until they count and do Svira Soimer. Some halachos in regards to Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed, we are not. It's not like Shabbos and Yom Tov. It's not like weekdays in between. Certain things you're allowed to do. Many things you're allowed to do. As you know, you can drive a car, put on lights, but there's a lot of things you're not allowed to do. We're just going to go through some of them. And that is, so for example, haircuts. There's no haircut, there's no cutting nails on Chol HaMoed. What is the reason? The reason is Chacham didn't want that we should, even though it's not like a major malacha, but Chacham didn't want, in other words, when we put on lights, so there are certain malachas that are not allowed because it's time consuming and it's, it pulls you away from the joy of Yom Tov. But over here, the reason is when it comes to haircuts and cutting nails, is because they didn't want that you should enter Yom Tov looking, not looking like, in other words, the hair is long, so much from that, but and not cutting nails are long, not Yom Tov, right? That's the Shabbos. Shabbos is limited to cutting nails before, and they wanted that you should cut the nails before Yom Tov. So they said, "Oh, you didn't cut your nails. Now it's going. Oh, now you want to cut your nails? No. But now next time you make sure to cut it before Yom Tov because you can't do it on Chol HaMoed." That is the reason. There's another reason. That's the reason I float down the earth. Why you don't cut nails and do haircuts on Chol HaMoed. Now, something interesting about cutting nails is, first regarding haircuts, there are leniencies in regards to children, but it's not something that you should take on your own to apply it. You have to know how to apply it. If the question comes up regarding young children, you have to speak to it up. Example, Upshernish, there's discussions on it, but there is some more leeway there. Then when it comes to cutting nails, it's interesting halacha that if you cut it, if let's say you cut your nails every week, right? Let's say, this here is a perfect example. If you cut your nails every Erev Shabbos, and you have Erev Shabbos again on Monday, because the last 2 days of Yom Tov, it's Shabbos and Sunday, because you cut it every week, we will be allowed to cut it also on Friday, right at the end of Yom Kippur. I have to double check, because something doesn't click well, but it is brought down that if you do it every week, like, what's the reason why you don't cut your nails? You shouldn't enter, so you should make sure to cut it before, right? You shouldn't just leave it Yom Kippur. You do, you cut it, you're gonna cut it out of Pesach, right? So now, seemingly, you should be able to cut it, but as I'm saying it, I'm thinking that I don't remember doing such a thing. Maybe it's just a leniency in certain situations. I have to double check if it applies to Chatzchima for everyone, or just in some situations for certain people. If something doesn't, I don't recall actually doing it, but in other words, but it comes out that for cutting nails, there can be situations where they can't be needed. Yeah. It's what? I offhand would see no. I'll have to look into it more. Okay. If I do end up putting into it and get answers, I'll send that. I'll send it to Mrs. Cohen. Yeah. Yeah. Now, laundry, we don't do laundry in family unless you're doing laundry for children, young children who, it's the same idea, so you should wash all your clothes before Yom Kippur, not wait for family. But children's clothing, especially young children, who you do wash all the time, they get dirty every day. It's like you wash before, but they're getting dirty. You need to, so that's it to wash, you're allowed to wash. Now, it doesn't mean just because you're washing clothes for children, means you can throw in your own clothes inside also. No, that you cannot do. Towels, for example, towels like mikvahs, they use towels all the time. They have to keep they do wash it before Yom Kippur, but you have to wash it again because it gets dirty. So it's something that's being washed every day is okay, because the reason is we don't want you to need it for Chalamayim. You did it. It's something you have to wash every day. So then you could wash the Chalamayim. Yeah.
Are you allowed to have like
No. So generally speaking, it's like Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Anything that you can't do, you can't have a non-Jew do also. Generally speaking. Can there be exceptions? Yeah, there could be, but so Shabbos is also sometimes exceptions. But generally, no, whatever you can't do, you can't let a non-Jew do also. Construction is an issue. Having employee doing construction for you. Many times there's leniencies because if you tell them not to come, it's going to be a loss. Because if they can't come, they're losing money. They're going to tell you, well, we're stuck here. We're going to go there. Or they're going to say we're going to come back in 2 months. So if you're doing construction at home, you have to speak to it up. Okay, can I have the guy come? I'm not talking about Yom Tov Chalamayim. Yom Tov Shabbos, you have to forget about Chalamayim. Coming for money, you have to discuss it up. Many times there will be leniencies because of a loss or something. If it's something that's important, it's crucial, yeshiva, a shul, something that the yeshiva won't be ready for the children to come and learn because there can be leniency, but as we discuss it out. Even buying things on Chalamayim. You're not allowed the just to go shopping on Chalamayim. That's what's good business on Chalamayim. Now, do people go shopping on Chalamayim? Yes, because many times there's leniency. One of the reasons would be because it's a loss. You don't buy now, you won't be able to buy later. Now it's a big sale, major sale going on, or if you're buying it to wear it on Yom Tov. If you're buying it and you're going to wear it on Yom Tov, then you could buy it if you're buying it, covered Yom Tov. But in other words, we're used to other things that we do on Chalamayim. We go shopping, let's say, and we think, oh, you always go shopping. Because many times it's permitted because it falls into the guidelines. But just in itself, it's not Chopping is not so clean, right? Like you just chop. There's a reason why. Because there's a reason for it. Not just like that. Mending clothes, right? Putting a hem, putting a cuff, a sleeve, buttons, sewing is an issue. Many times it's going to be permitted. Because if you're doing it with covered yomtiv, and here, it also has to be what's called a classical term that has to be mindset headed. Headed means a simple thing. Mindset, the word, the action of a headed of a simple thing. If I were to translate loosely, a simple, but the word head is used in different ways. Then you have mindset uman. Uman means a craftsman, professional. So if you're doing it mindset headed, meaning putting on a button, sewing a button, you don't need a professional to sew a button. I mean, you have to know what you're doing. I couldn't do it, but I'm saying you don't need a professional person to do it. It's called mindset headed. So then it's allowed to be done on Yom Tov if it's for the honor of Yom Tov. You're going to wear it. It doesn't have to be necessarily, oh, are you desperate? Like you don't know what to wear? What do? You don't have to be desperate for it. But you're gonna wear it on Yom Tov. It's for Yom Tov, recover Yom Tov. Okay, you can do it. Not for Yom Tov because you want to save time after Yom Tov. No, you can't do it. You might say, oh, if it's professionally done, though it's not a button, it would be like a ham or something that you need. That becomes an issue. That you cannot do on color. And there's other situations that are not relevant. It's things that are done. If it's done for something that's being done for tzorchei rabbi, for many people, like for the community, or not just an individual, there's more flexibility. But there's a lot of halachas of is complex. Oh, also, for example, writing. Writing a Chol Hamoed, we don't just write. Now, there is a leniency if you need to, something that's important. You could do it because our writing is not Ma'aseh Iman. I'm just writing. It's not really, most people say it's not Ma'aseh Iman, it's Ma'aseh Hedges. Ma'aseh Iman would mean like writing, secretary, like writing nice letters, professional. But it's brought down if you're going to be writing, it says you should write a little bit like, instead of writing nice and straight, let's write. You should sort of like go down. You should do like a little, like going down, like, you know what I mean? Coming down a little bit. So, the truth is that that's how it should be done. That's why printing, making, photocopies is an issue because that's a little more professional. If a copy, copying over a safe there, it's professional, right? You get a copy of it, and just make copies. Printing is an issue. If you have a situation and you're doing it for young people, the community, someone's learning, okay, I think there could be more leeway to discuss with it up, but generally just to make copies and you can't do that. Things that are for food, there's more leniencies. Back in the days, these days we don't do anything. We just we think kids think the food comes out of the store. But if it's, let's say, a farm, things like that, you're working with food, so processing, whatever, there's more lenient of a day. You also allow, if it's nice human, if it's on a professional way, but not going to example, it's not relevant. But there's many different categories when it comes to Chol Hamoed. If it's for this, there are many categories. Anyways. Now, some halachos about Tzvira. Maybe first we should talk a little bit about, just generally speaking, about chametz after Pesach. Chametz after Pesach, you're not allowed to benefit. Now, we know that on Pesach, we're not allowed to benefit from chametz, according to the Torah. After Pesach, rabbinically, you're not allowed to benefit from chametz. I'm sorry, you can't benefit from not any chametz. From chametz that was in a Jew's possession during Pesach. During Pesach, you can't benefit from any chametz, even the glaze chametz. After Pesach, you could benefit from chametz, but not from the chametz that was in the Jew's possession. Any Jew's possession. It doesn't matter. It wasn't his fault. It was an accident. He didn't realize that he had chametz in his possession. It wasn't intentional. You're not allowed to benefit from chametz. Chacham prohibited us because they said if you're going to be allowed to benefit, what could that lead to? That a person might intentionally meet chametz in his possession during Pesach, like this right after Pesach, people business, and they have a business after Pesach. People are going to tell them, where did you get this chametz? How did you get it? Like it's like a right after Pesach. How did you get it so fast? So no, I had it in my possession, but I didn't realize. I almost didn't realize it. I had it stuck somewhere. I didn't realize it. I didn't transgress, and now I could sell it. That's what a person might do. It's doesn't make a difference. It wasn't your fault. It was an accident. It was against it wasn't for the oinus, right? Literally, oinus means accident. It means it's not your fault, right? Doesn't matter. You're still not allowed to benefit from it. And so this will make sure that no one will, by mistake, leave chametz in his possession, and he suggests plans to take advantage after Yom Tov, because it comes after Yom Tov, he wouldn't be allowed to benefit from it. Which means that after Pesach, when you go to stores, you have to be careful. If you're going to from stores, they sell the chametz. But if you are shopping in other stores, it's something you have to be aware of. Mitzvah after Pesach, more details, but it's something to be aware of. You can't just go. You like to go to Trader Joe's or other stores, and I'm not saying specifically Trader Joe's might be issue or not. No sense to it. But theoretically, it could be. It's owned by Jews, and they don't sell the chametz. You're coming after Pesach, and you're like, it's kosher. It might not be kosher because if a Jew owns it and he didn't sell it, they have a problem. But generally, there's no that when you're going to such stores, you wait I think they say till Shavuos. By then, you know that it's already sold, whatever. Yeah, during Pesach. But there is more details. We know that I'll fill in after Pesach. So let's talk a little bit about the halachos of Tzviras Oimim. So during Svira, in the days of Svira, what happened? The students, the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva passed away, and this went on until Lag BaOmer. And because of that, there's a custom that's already brought that became halacha, that we treat these days like days of Avelis, days of mourning, and we're not allowed to do anything that a mourner is not allowed to do. That is haircuts, music. Don't play music. Shulchan speaks about live music. And later on, the codifiers bring also recorded music is an issue. And the meaning is also we don't say shechianu. Shechianu has to do with joy. Say shechianu is something that's exciting, so we avoid things that require shechianu. But there is different customs how we keep it. So many Chabadis we keep the entire Svira. We keep from after Pesach until 3 days before Shavuos. But in Halacha, it's brought two customs. One custom is that they keep the laws of Svira until Lag BaOmer. Actually, there is one that the Mechaber brings, which would seem the Svardim for according to that. I think so. I'm not familiar with all the customs of Svardim, but according to the Mechaber, it comes out that it ends actually on the 34th day of Bayman, not on live Bayman. In any case, what's relevant to us is one way is that we keep it until live Bayman, because that's when they stop dying. And then after live Bayman, music, wedding, and some people have that custom. Then there's another custom that they start keeping the 33 days, that also keep 33 days, but they start keeping it from Rosh Chodesh Iyar, and it goes on for 33 days. Rosh Chodesh Iyar has always 29 days, which means it's 2 days Rosh Chodesh. So if you start from Rosh Chodesh Iyar, which means the 30th day of Nissan, 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, the first day is the 30th day of Nissan. So if you count 33 days, the 33rd day will be on Gimel Sivan, the 3rd day of Sivan. When it comes to Avelis, the morning, you don't have to keep a full day. Part of the day, it says, Mikzah Sayem Yikudah. Part of the day is like the whole day. So when a flood of sun, someone is sitting Shiva, so sitting for 7 days, the 7th day in the morning, they finish Shiva already. Part of it is like the whole day. So the 33rd day is on the 3rd day of Sivan. Shavuos is the 6th day of Sivan. So basically, when it comes, so Gimel, the 3 days before Shavuos already, they're allowed to do back to normal. So these are the two customs. Now, what's the reason why of this second custom? The reason is there isn't so we said there is an opinion that says that they died for 33 days. They stopped dying on Monday. Right? There's another opinion that says that they did not die Shabbos Yom Tov Rosh Chodesh, which means if you do the math, they did not die Shabbos Yom Tov Rosh Chodesh, so we also get 33 days. Right? 7 days of Pesach, 7 days, the 7 Shabbos. I'm sorry, there's 8 days of Pesach, but there's always going to be one of these Pesach is always going to be in Shabbos. If you have 8 days, one of them has to be Shabbos. So we're counting 7 Shabbos. I'm counting 7 days of Pesach. Even though there's 8, because one of them is Shabbos. One is 7 Shabbos together. So it's 14 days. And then there's 2 days of the Chodesh here. It's like 2 days of Chodesh. Chodesh Sivan is only 1 day. And here's only 29 days. 1 day of Chodesh Sivan, so you have 17 days. So if you take away 49 minus 17, what do you get? 32. Okay, 32, so you like 29. Comes out that they died with 33 days. I mean, 28, 50, maybe, supposed to come out about 33 days. And it's coming out now to something I have to figure out there. I'm missing a piece of the puzzle. Anyways, it's supposed to come out about 33 days. So what they do, they keep these 33 days from Rosh Chodesh here until they keep it until the third. So the count from Rosh Chodesh, you have 30, because it's 29 days in the year, and it's starting the first day of Rosh Chodesh year, which is the 30th day of Nissan. So you have 30 days. And then the 33rd day is Gimel Sivan, and that's how to keep 33 days. So there's two customs how to keep the 33 days, and there's 2 opinions of how of when they died. If they died throughout, they died and they continue dying until they stop dying like Brahman, or they did not die Shabbos Yom Tov Rosh Chodesh, and oh, I know why it's going 16, because it could be one of the days is also Shabbos. Could be, no, actually, I'm not, no, I don't know. Anyway, there's something, whatever it is, it's supposed to come out, figure it out later. In any case, so there's two customs how we keep 33 days. There's two opinions of when they died, whether they died straight at the start of Lag B'Omer, or they did not die Shabbos, Rish Chodesh, and Lag B'Omer also. But our custom is we keep the entire Omer. That's our custom. Now, also, according to the Arizal, it's brought down that we don't take any haircuts entire Omer. That's according to the Arizal. And we're very particular about that. There's no haircuts during the Omer. Even like the Omer, the Arizal usually would not take haircuts. Now, the question is like this: what if you're going to a wedding that they are doing after Lag B'Omer, and their custom is that they only keep until Lag B'Omer? What do you do then? Are you going to that wedding and you'll keep the whole Omer? You don't go to the wedding? Or there's a wedding in Nissan, and because their custom is they don't do weddings, they keep the 33 days from the beginning of Iyar until 3 days before Shavuos. So many people do weddings in Nissan. Could you go to that wedding? And the answer is yes, you could go, because being that according to their custom, it's accepted what they're doing, and it's a wedding. Not talking about randomly going to hear music. It's a wedding. And their custom is that they're doing the right thing, because they're following the custom. And Allah says you just have to choose one of them. We're strict, we keep everything. But they're doing the right thing. You're joining their wedding. They're following halacha. You're going to a wedding. It's a simcha, it's a mitzvah. So then it's 100% okay to go to that wedding. No issues. Now, other halachas, we said there's no haircuts on during Svira. However, it does not apply in terms of eyebrows, eyelashes is not an issue. However, it is brought down that waxing is an issue. And then there is issue of shechianu we spoke about. We don't say shechianu. But Shabbos, the Rebbe brings that there was a Yechidus that the Rebbe had once with the chief rabbi many years ago. And actually that came up on the discussion. And the Rebbe said then that Shabbos during Svira, we could say Shechianu. In contrast to the 3 weeks in Shivas B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, that you don't say Shechianu. Over there, Shabbos, you don't. But in Svira, the Rebbe said that Shabbos, we could say Shechianu. Now, we don't say Shechianu. No, the issue is buying new clothes, because when you buy new clothes, there is Shechianu. Now, practically, we don't do Shechianu on new clothes when we buy new clothes, because it used to be that buying new clothes was very exciting. These days, because buying new clothes is not the way it used to be. Those days, you're very poor, and then buying a new garment is a very exciting thing. These days, it's not as exciting. Therefore, we don't say Shechianu because it's sort of questionable if you can say Shechianu. But it could be you still have to say Shechianu, it's just we're not sure. And there is an excitement there. So therefore, the Katchila, we still avoid buying new clothes during Shmira. However, if you're buying clothes for Shabbos and Yom Tov, like we said, you do say Shechianu on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Now, practically, I'm referring to like a new fruit, because we said new clothes, you don't say Shechianu. But the point is, because you do say Shechianu on Shabbos, so therefore, if you're buying a new dress, if it's for Shabbos, it's okay, and then you have to put it on for Shabbos. Question is, could you put it on right before Shabbos, before you light candles? I'm not sure about that, because it's not like Shabbos. Putting it on Shabbos, I'm not sure. It could be have to wait till next morning. I have to have a look into that. Now, if you're just buying just plain clothes, especially undergarments, things like that, that's not an issue. Something that's nicer, a little more excitement to it, that you should refrain. But you have to buy for children, let's say, they need clothes to wear, it's different story, they need what to wear. Sometimes people are buying clothes that they can't even wear yet, you have to give it to the tailor. And it's for the wedding coming up after Shavuos. So, luckily, that's not an issue. Of course, if it could be avoided, it should be avoided. If the proper thing is, if there's no difference, if it's like absolutely no difference, why not later? The custom is being inflamed. But if it's something that's necessary, important, and especially you can't wear it anyways, you have to give it to the tailor. So there's no yet real excitement anyways in terms of buying this dress because you can't wear it yet. So then that makes even more lenient, and especially if it's something that's necessary, you can do. Pretty much the halachos in regards to, you know. You have any questions? Yeah. You said you know that you cannot commit. Yeah. Sew new clothing, right? Yeah. Mending, no problem at all. Mending clothes, it's not homemade. About shechiyah, something exciting. To make the clothing, yeah, but to fix clothing, no. Right, so the acapella music where there's no actual music is, in many opinions, are lenient. Could be some are strict, but halachically there is no, and we're talking about especially when it's recorded. To start with, recorded music is not promoted for Hamara, because there was no recorded music there. But the Chachamim saying that you should, you should be careful, but it's not at the same level as live music. So a cappella, it's recorded and it's only music, it's only, it sounds very good, but that was not included in the prohibition. And I believe that those that are strict with it, but halachically, you could sort of get away with it. Because halachically, if it's pure a cappella, it should not be, it's accepted. You're not going against halachah. Well, it can be strict, but halachically it's okay. Regarding the last days of Pesach, we already said you don't say Shefyonu. There's an interesting custom on the last day of Pesach, Achron Shel Pesach, that we, even though we're careful not to do the brachos the entire Pesach, but the last day, we're not careful about it. We do the brachos, and not only we're actually careful to do the brachos. The opposite. And the Rebbe asks the question, how do you go from one extreme to the other? Now, the simple reason is the last day of Pesach is rabbinic. For the Torah, it's only 7 days. So we have to be so careful. But the Rebbe asks, well, we see from the Rabbein that we specifically did the brachos. The Rebbe explains a very interesting explanation here that the whole idea of chametz in Avodas Hashem is arrogance, which we have to stay away from. Especially when we're at the beginning of the Avodah, we have to be more careful, more susceptible when we're running away from that. As we grow in Avodah, we're able to really take that and use it for Kedusha. That's why when it comes Shavuos, the meal offering that was brought in Shavuos was chametz. Because at that point, you can really elevate the chametz. And so too, in a certain way, after 7 days of Pesach, when we're doing all the sviras, Chesed Shebegvura, Chesed Shebechesed, Chesed Shebegvura, you're already elevating the combination of all the 7 sviras on some level. We're already at a point where you don't have to be so scared of chametz anymore. And that's why the video was specifically to do the brachos on the Achron Shel Pesach, because you already passed through the first 7 days. And then it was specifically to do the brachos And the minig is to do with every food, like with the fish, with the salad, with the soup, with everything, we do the brachas on the last day of Pesach. But this does not mean that you're meeting with other stringencies. All other stringencies, we are strict. Only the brachas. This clearly handed down to us, that they're being told us that this is what it is, where we will be lenient with it. It should be, we're going to have to do the brachas, but other stringencies, we still keep. Another important regarding Smiras Einim. And that is, we count with children. And we have to understand when we count with children, it's different, it's different when it comes to other things that we do with children. Or different to anything else, any other brachas that we say actually. When you say a bracha on something, even if you don't understand what you're saying, you get up, you say the bracha. Well, you should, but you still say the bracha. Anything you do in davening, you don't understand, you don't understand. Certain things are crucial, like Shema, the first bracha Amidah. But over here, when it comes to Smiras Einim, it is crucial to understand what you're counting, what you're saying when you're doing Smiras Einim. I'm not talking about the bracha al Smiras Einim, but when you're counting, you're saying, be careful with the child. Hayom Shnei Yomim, Hayom Shleish Yomim, Hayom Arba Yomim. So usually we say things with kids, we say Baruch Atah. And now people sometimes count with children, they say Hayom Arba Yomim. But if they don't understand what they're saying, they're not doing it. So it's something important to keep in mind for everyone. I'm saying children because it's more common if they're saying words with them, but Smiras Einim, you have to know what you understand what you're saying. The person, you just tell a person, hey, you want to do Smiras Einim, the mitzvah, open up the siddur, repeat after me, Hayom Baruch, Hayom Arba Yomim, and then later you tell them what it means. It doesn't help you tell them later, because the mitzvah is in the counting. You have to know about the counting. So the children have to figure out a way. Now you don't want to count, you don't want to say the challenge is you don't want to say what's tonight before you, because if you say what's tonight, you can't count. So you have to figure out in advance a way how to tell them, to help them understand what they're counting. By the way, something interesting, and that is that if you have specific intention not to do the mitzvah, you're not yotzei. So you have to be careful of such a thing to take it out. Meaning, if we learned the other day, if someone asks you what's tonight, don't say what's tonight, say what's last night. But suppose you're a little shopper, right? And the person asks you what's tonight, and you say, and you know, and you can tell them what's tonight, but before you tell them, you're already thinking that I'm going to tell them what's tonight, but my intention is that this should not be considered like I'm doing the mitzvah now. I don't want to do the mitzvah now. Then it's fine. Now, obviously, you don't do it because people learn from you, and it's not even a thing. We want to keep things simple for everyone to know this is what you do. So ask you, tell them what's last night. So theoretically, if you're counting with a child and you have clear intention that you don't want to do the mitzvah, you're not yotzei, but you want to be careful. If people should be learning from you, you're going to be counting and then counting the bracha, whatever. But you plan in advance how to help them understand. You got to be a way I could explain them. So say that, it says chamisha. Chamisha means 5. You got to be counting, so you can explain them what they're counting, and you can figure out how to do it in a way where either you have intention or you say it in a way where you're not saying tonight, whatever it is, but they should understand what they're counting. Okay, any questions? The last class. Now is the time. Okay, questions of Pesach on you? What was the question that I have to look into? Oh, right. If it breaks up, what can you do about it? If anything can do, wow. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. Right? Oh.